Setting rates is one of the trickiest things you can do as a creative. Whether you're a freelance writer, whether you're a freelance graphic designer, no matter what you're doing, trying to figure out how to set those rates can be tough stuff. As a freelance writer, though, there are 8 factors I take into account when I am setting my rates. So the first one is experience. The longer you've been writing, the longer you've done this work, the more you can charge. So one of the reasons I charge so much more is because I have been doing this for almost 20 years. That can make a huge difference in the rates you can set. Beginners are likely going to see lower rates at first, but as you build your portfolio, as you gain more experience, and the longer you do this, then the more you can charge later. The next thing to consider is your expertise or credentials. So even if you have less experience, if you have a certain expertise and you have a credential in that area, you can actually charge a little bit more. And that's something you want to keep in mind as you are setting your freelance rates. I know people who started out getting paid more when they switched to freelance writing because they have a CFP or an MBA or some other credential that talks about their expertise. The next thing is your niche. So when you're thinking about what you're going to write about or what area you're going to write about, you might be surprised at the price differences and the market rates depending on the subject you're writing about. So I primarily write about money. So the fact that I write about money on the internet means that I get to charge more money for what I write. A lot of the time, the subject matter you write about, whether it's going to garner a lot of clicks or have a lot of interest in it, that's going to determine how much you can charge. So as you set your rates, think about the niche you're in and whether or not it's likely to provide you with the opportunity to charge more. Also, think about the type of work. So this is the fourth factor I consider. Am I ghostwriting a book or am I creating a blog post? If I'm ghostwriting a book, then I'm going to charge a little bit more than just creating a blog post. This is so true, especially if you do a lot of ghostwriting work. When you're not having that byline, you cannot prove that you are experienced, and so then you end up not being able to charge as much. So make up for it by charging more if you are doing ghost written work. So really think about that. Also think about a sales landing page versus a white paper. All of these different types of work come with different market rates, so you're going to have to figure that out as well. The number 5 thing to do is find out what others are making. One of the best things that I do is I participate in a network with other freelance writers. We share tips, we share tricks, and we also share our rates. When we have a new client coming into our little area of expertise, when we have a new client that appears, we exchange notes, we share what's going on, and that really can help you figure out what to charge. And reach out to people who do different types of writing. Find out what they're charging for white papers in the technical field. Find out what they're charging for writing financial blog posts. Find out what they're charging when they write a review of a company. So look at all of that and figure out, okay, well, what is the market rate? You can also Google and find out what are some of the going rates for different types of writing. That information is available online. Now, think about how much work you're doing. Different types of writing require different types of work. In the past, I used to set my freelance writing rates just as a per article. Okay, if you want a 1,000-word article, it's going to cost this much. But then I realized certain types of articles require more work. If you're writing a review, that's going to be way more work than just writing an article. If you have to interview 2 different sources, you're going to do a lot more work. If you have to dig into the data analysis that somebody provides you in a paper, that's also more work. So these are types of articles that you can charge more. When I list my freelance rates now, when somebody asks me for a quote, I give them different quotes. I say, this is the rate I'm going to charge for a regular article. For that article that requires interviews, this is the higher rate that I charge. And if you want a review, that's going to be the highest. That's going to be the highest rate that I charge because that requires a lot more work. So really think about how much work is going to go into the type of thing that you're writing. Next, think about who you're writing for. So most of the people I write for right now are corporations, they're companies, they're well-known publications. But in the past, I've written for independent content creators or independent bloggers, and I charge them less because they have a different budget. When I work for an agency, I know that agency is getting paid buku bucks, and so I charge an agency a little bit more as well. So really think about who you're writing for, what your writing is going to be used for, and whether or not you're going to have a byline, and really kind of get into those brass tacks because you're going to have to adjust your rate accordingly. And finally, the eighth thing that I consider when I am setting my freelance rates or preparing a quote for somebody is it a one-off? Is it ongoing? I have focused in my career on clients that offer regular work. If you are going to promise me 4 to 6 articles a month, I might give you a break. If I know that work is coming and I know I can rely on it, you might get a slight break on my rate. Now, if it's a one-off project, replacing that income and having to pitch and having to go forward with that, that's a lot of work and effort on my part. So I'm going to charge a higher rate. So that's one of the reasons I don't publish my rate card and I don't have set rates for everything, because every project is different, every client is different. So you really need to think through the factors that go into setting your rate or creating a quote for a specific client or project. So what about you? How do you set your rates? How do you figure that out? Do you have a rate card, or do you kind of feel it out by client or project? Let me know in the comments, and we'll see you back here next time for freelance writing career tips.